So, hello everybody. It is me, Demetra Kane. I'm sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. And the purpose of the Demetra K show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go, all things that go on in the Black community to, to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. I'd like to say a big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you viewers, but you are family. And sometimes we share the link. If I share the link and your profile looks like this, please show me this. And then you can go back to that. If you are not comfortable with everybody else seeing you, just know that no one else is, besides me, can see you, not even Donovan, until I bring you up to the big screen. In the comment section, it's not that we disagree, it's how we disagree. So if we can be as respectful as possible, and including here on the panel, I will greatly appreciate it. So today, we're going to be talking about the Congressional Black Caucus, and you guys have a whole host of other names for them. I'm sure we'll see those in the comment section. But they want Biden to exonerate the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey over 100 years later. Y'all heard me, right? So we're going to get into all of that in just a few. CJ, how you doing? And Brother Reggie, OG Life Japan, and we're going to make sure people follow you while we are here. Donovan, what is up, my brother?
I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Some of the holiday madness has passed us, those of us that have gone into debt so our kids could have great presents. I have a great nephew who's about 8 years old. I think he got some kind of PlayStation or something, whatever, which I think is totally ridiculous to get a child at that age, because their brains are developing. They should be getting them books and doing that. But you give them these electronic devices, they become dumber than a rock. But that's what their parents want to give them. So be it. But again, he had a happy Christmas and all that other great stuff. So happy Christmas for some of you guys that are out there that went to the Christmas party. Great to that you guys made it. Everybody's safe, and that's what we want. But we're going into a new year, so let's go into the new year optimistic, and hopefully things will be getting better for Black people. And I'm going to say this real quick. I was talking to some people just randomly, some baby boomers, and what they did not see before, they are now seeing. So a lot of what you guys are doing and the information that you guys are spreading, it is working. So keep up the great work, because a lot of people are seeing the writing on the wall in how the Democratic policy and white supremacy policy is putting us in these corners to where we are now politically, we have no power politically. There's not enough numbers and all this other stuff that's going on. So again, California is the playbook. But do us a favor. If you guys want to donate, keep these great conversations going, there's ways to donate. There's a scrolling banner at the bottom down there. You can do it by Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Cash, Money Order, or how you guys want to do it. Also, please do not forget to download and subscribe to the African Diaspora News Channel app. You can do that by downloading on Google Play and the Apple Store. And you will get great content from Brother Phil Scott, Demetra K, Vicky Dillard, Wongel, and a whole plethora of new contributors that will keep you informed of what's going on around in the African diaspora. Christmas is over. Thank you guys for those of you guys that did at the last minute needed gifts, and you did purchase for people memberships and subscriptions to these platforms. You can still do that as well. If we can get 2 or 3 people to subscribe or buy memberships and subscriptions for other people to the African Diaspora News Channel, that'll be the sooner we can get off this platform and we can talk among ourselves of what's really going on. Also, don't forget, if you guys would like, you could buy subscriptions and memberships here to the Demetra K Show, and that way you will be informed when Demetra drops videos and all that other great stuff that she does. And you might even catch her one day standing up and walking across the room or something if you're lucky, and whatever like that. But it's a new year. We are still going to hold these people accountable that look like us, they act like us, and they sound like us, but they ain't us. So we're going to talk a little bit about this Marcus Garvey situation, and I want you guys to know to do your homework. The new leader of the CBC is a female. She's a first generation Caribbean Jamaican female. And she said her first priority of the new year is immigration. Now, it's funny that we're talking about Marcus Garvey and how the CBC is fighting to get Marcus Garvey exonerated. And this new leader of the CBC happens to be Jamaican. So let's get into this, Demetra.
Absolutely. So, yes. Hello to everybody that's come on here. Queen Adaya, how you doing? Dear self, what's going on? Lene, Baltazar, I hope you're doing well. It says 96 degrees in the shade. Okay, and Jeb, what's going on? All right, so as Donovan alluded to, the Congressional Black Caucus, as y'all like to say, the Congressional Black Talkers, and a whole host of other things that you guys call them. They basically want President Joe Biden to exonerate that of Marcus Garvey. Of course, you know, Marcus Garvey was convicted of basically mail fraud. I think it was 1923. And he was sentenced to 5 years, but President Coolidge at the time pardoned him, and he got out 2 years after serving 2 years, but then he was sent back to Jamaica. So he was deported, for a lack of better words. Now, they are calling the Black Congressional Black Caucus, because now there's really giving it a conversation, admitting that wrong was done to him. Now, of course, you guys know wrong was done to him by that of J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI back then. Of course, the FBI had a unit called COINTELPRO that spied on a whole host of people, including, and probably mostly, a lot of Black leaders, which Marcus Garvey was a Black leader. I should say he was a Pan-Africanist, and that he was like, hey, let's blow this joint. Let's go back to Africa, where we could be free and do whatever we need to do. In addition to that, he had the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which reached, some say, between 3 to 6 million people, Black people worldwide. This was before the phone, I think the TV, maybe they had a phone, I don't know, but the internet and all that, right? Also had a newspaper that went out to 200,000 subscribers. So he was really getting the word out. He had the Black Star Line, which was a steamship that was able to move cargo and things like that. Was trying to get another one, which is kind of how he got in trouble, per se, because he put that steamship on a postcard and mailed it out. And they said, oh, that's mail fraud because that ship doesn't actually exist. Of course, we know that they used Agent 800, which was the first Black FBI agent to take down UNIA. He infiltrated the organization, and that's how Marcus Garvey got in trouble. Again, citing that of COINTELPRO, which we know moving in the future, that they went after the Nation of Islam, whether it was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X. They've targeted Farrakhan, all the Black Panthers, the Black Liberation Army, and a whole host of other people. And I would even say, to some degree, maybe Grandmaster Jay, right, who is now in a Kentucky prison serving, I think, like 8, 7, 9 years or something, for allegedly aiming his firearm at a law enforcement officer, whatever, bull cocker, right? But nevertheless, this is what the Congressional Black Caucus said via that of Representative Yvette Clarke. Let me find it. So they said exonerating, and this is a collection of them, right? Exonerating Marcus Garvey would honor his work for the Black community, remove the shadow of an unjust conviction, and further this administration's promise to advance racial justice. Now, it says, at a time when Black history faces the existential threat of erasure by radical state legislators, a presidential pardon for Mr. Garvey would correct the historical record and restore the legacy of an American hero. Then they go on to say, exactly 101 years ago, Marcus Garvey was convicted of mail fraud, the stuff I was telling you, in a case that was marred by prosecutorial and governmental misconduct. It also says the evidence paints an abundantly clear narrative that the charges against Mr. Garvey were not only fabricated, but also targeted to criminalize, discredit, and silence him as a civil rights leader. Now, when I heard about the story, hello to everybody that's come on here. I'm going to say hello to you guys individually. But when I first heard about this, when I tell you, I am and was so angry, because ultimately what they did to Marcus Garvey, they did to the rest of us. And I hate that they call him a civil rights leader. He didn't give a damn about the civil rights coming from nobody, especially the United States government. He was like, why do we need civil rights if we're going to practice group economics? We're going to build our own or get out of here. His mantra was, up you mighty nation, accomplish what you will. It wasn't grovel on your knees, beg the government to give you civil rights that we've never to this day benefited from. That's not what he was saying. He was like, he was admonishing Black people all over the world. What's wrong with you, for a lack of better words? You come from kings and queens, and royalty and all kind of stuff. We don't listen. Let's do what we got to do, right? That was his call. But here you have the Congressional Black Caucus that is and I don't want to cuss, and I'm going to try not to, but they went to stuff by thinking that Black people are supposed to say, oh, yes, because of course you guys know that Biden is exonerating or pardoning and commuting all of these sentences. And recently, because Marcus Garvey got caught up on a federal charge, so Biden has pardoned like 37 federal inmates from death row and commuted their sentences to life sentences. So they're saying, since you did it for them, why don't you do it for Marcus Garvey? Now, the other thing that, and I should say this too, John Conyers and Charles Rangel, they have been asking for this in 2004 and I think 1997. So it's not a new call, but here they are now. But one of the major things that makes me mad is now you're saying that you guys are the government, right? Remember, the CBC is part of the government. And now you're saying that there was governmental, misconduct and prosecutorial misconduct. We all knew that. We all knew that Marcus Garvey was caught up on some nonsense, but here you are saying, oh, Biden, y'all knew it was some nonsense, exonerate him. But this is the other thing that really just kicks me in my behind, okay? God rest the dead, but Marcus Garvey is dead. What is an exoneration going to do him now? That man died potentially of a broken heart and stress of being labeled something he was not. And here they are wanting to exonerate him. And his son, I think, died not too long ago. And he was, up there in age, died not too long ago. I don't know if he has any more direct descendants like, sons and daughters and stuff. But you want to exonerate him. And we got somebody like H. Rod Brown, Jamil Al-Amin, who's in a federal prison, and a whole host of Black Panthers, and that whole Assata Shakur that's still hiding out in Cuba. And you Black so-and-sos are asking for the exoneration of Marcus Garvey. And listen, I'm not saying he don't deserve it, but that's what they do. They did it with George Stinney. A lot of y'all heard the story of George Stinney. He was the 14-year-old that was executed, the first youth, if I'm not mistaken, in America, a little Black boy executed, and they didn't do it right the first time, and they redid it, had to put him on a stack of books, and I heard it was Bibles, and electrocuted that little boy for accusing him of doing something to some white girls that he did not do. And I think it was Obama, if I'm not mistaken, that posthumously exonerated him. It's like, are you kidding me? You should have exonerated that boy back then before he had to sit on those Bibles and be electrocuted. But see, that's the games that they play with Black people. But you know what we can do? Is send them a message. The next time they Black asses, and yes, I said it, they Black asses is up for election, they need to go. Because we want to check. That's what Marcus Garvey wanted. He wanted Black people to have something. Now, he wasn't a descendant of slavery, but he understood what was going on, and he wanted Black people to have something, not symbolism. So if they really want to honor Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, because his family is suing the government for $100 million, give it to them and every dime they want. If you really want to honor them, give Black people a check. We want the 40 acres, and goddamn, we want the mule too, and the Tesla, whatever else that comes. Well, depending on how you feel about Elon, whatever it is, we want. That's what we want. We don't want no funky symbolism from the CBC. And I'm going to get to you guys' comments. Donovan?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, what else needs to be said? But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet because it has to be short and sweet. Let's see. Our people, FBAs, have been in this country for over 600 years. We have leaders that look like us, that come from our neighborhoods, that talk the talk, they walk the walk, they give the fish fries, they do all of these things, but they can't seem to deliver any tangibles. Then you have a first-generation American like Barack Obama, who's a descendant of a Kenyans. He ascends to the presidency, no problem. First try, he ascends to the presidency. Then you have this Indian woman who's a first generation, whose parents migrated here from the Caribbean and of Jamaican Indian descent. And she gets to all these positions and ascends and was able to run for the presidency. But yet my people, the lineage I come from, been here for 600 years, and we haven't had anybody that comes close to doing anything like that. But then this lady, who is now the new leader of the CBC, first generation Jamaican, this is one of her first priorities she puts up before the new Congress has even come into existence. This is something that she wants to fight for right from the beginning. Here's a Jamaican person of her lineage, to the lineage that she comes from, and she's going to get that stain off of that lineage, of the Jamaican lineage, so that it doesn't look good and look bad for her people. She didn't hesitate to do for her people, because it might not be symbolism to, it might not mean nothing to us here in the United States, but it means something to her people back in in Jamaica. Right? They're all going to be like, yeah, you did it right, sis. You went and exonerated our people and whatever the deal is. So what am I saying right here? What am I saying right here? What I'm saying is, why is it every other group of people that come to the United States, they get political power and they wield it in the effort of their people unapologetically? And if they don't, somebody please name me a group of people who has a representative that capes for the Black community. Name me one. I don't know any Hispanic that capes for the Black community. I don't know any Asian politician that capes for the Black community. I don't even know a white politician that capes for the Black community. We have a problem here. Houston, we have a problem here in that we have 60-something members of the Congressional Black Caucus, and not one of them can come up with something other than symbolism to deliver for another group of people. Once again, the CBC is doing it. So let this be a lesson to us. We have to stop letting our politicians, FBA politicians that walk, talk, give us the fish fries and all that stuff, live off of our tax dollars, and we get them up out of there. They know what we want. We don't care about Marcus Garvey, getting exonerated. How is that going to help me pay my bills? How is that going to help me move forward and be able for my grandkids to buy a house, open a business? It's going to do nothing. But this is the Democratic playbook. We just got to throw something against the wall. We'll throw something. Eventually, the Negroes will fall for something. No, it's a new day. And it's up to you guys to spread this message out there and do what they got to do. But let this be a lesson to us. When their other groups of people get into power, they deliver. They deliver for their people, even if they're removed. This woman is a first-generation American of Jamaican descent. She doesn't even identify as FBA. She goes, I'm Jamaican American. That's how she identifies herself. So where's her allegiance? Because to me, and I know I'm a veteran, so I'm a little biased, everybody, before you delineate whatever you're going to be, you should be American Jamaican first. You should be American Chinese first. Whatever. When I hear people talk about, well, I'm Chinese American, I'm Mexican American. Where's your allegiance? America doesn't come second in anything, damn it. In anything. At least we shouldn't. But that goes to show you. Look at your neighborhoods. When you've got these other people that are in your country and they're flying their flag of their home country, I get offended by that, because if I went to their country and do that, they would make me take that flag down. Let this be a lesson to us. We have got to send a message to these people that are FBA, that if you're not going to do the job, we're going to get you out of there and get somebody that will.
Yes, and somebody, and Kason, how you doing? Let's talk about Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois, we'll call him Webb for the lack of for time, said that he was a traitor and a lunatic. Now, Webb called him that because he agreed with the notion of the KKK. And that, yeah, we need to be separate. We ain't trying to be with them. See, W.E.B. Du Bois was a go along, get along type of person. He wanted Black people to work within the system, just work with the cards you're dealt. But Marcus Garvey was like, no, we do need to separate. They don't want to be with us. We don't want to be with them. There's no need for that, right? We could be self-sufficient on our own. So yes, W.E.B. Du Bois went about, helping with this campaign that, oh, Marcus Garvey is an enemy to the Black race and this, that, and the other, because he was trying to see, in a sense, W.E.B. Du Bois was like the Democrats, right? Oh, just keep them comfortable. Just let them believe, hope and pray and change and all this other stuff. When we fight, we win, and joy and vibes, right? That was W.E.B. Du Bois. But Marcus Garvey's like, bump all that. We don't need all of that. We can do what we need to do. Hell, we built this MFer, right? We built this so we can build this funky country. Then we can build something for ourselves. But he went about labeling Marcus Garvey as an enemy to Black people. So in a sense, the Congressional Black Caucus is doing the job that W.E.B. Du Bois kind of left off with. Yeah, they're saying, oh, let's get him exonerated. But what you doing for the people that's still here? What are you doing for the people that are in jail under COINTELPRO that was set up by the government? What are you saying about them? Like I said, I don't have a problem with Marcus Garvey. I don't. I know a lot of y'all have had a problem with Marcus Garvey in the last couple of years. I'm not going to get into that. I don't have a problem with Marcus Garvey. But what about the people that are here? They don't have nothing to say for them. But this is the same people that hoop and holler and cry about everybody else but Black people. They're the only caucus that in their mission statement that says Black people and other marginalized communities. No other mission statement from the Asians, Arabs, or whoever else may have a caucus. None of them say everybody else, but the Black caucus, and here they are. And yeah, Yvette Clarke is new. Yes, she's first generation American. Her parents are, immigrants or whatever the case is. But there she is. And I don't even think that is to make them look good. I don't think her asking for the exoneration of Marcus Garvey is to make them look good, because I said John Conyers and Charles Rangel, they both were asking for the exoneration of Marcus Garvey as well. I think that's throw these Black people a bone. Throw them a bone. They'll shut up if we just do something for them. But again, we have watched them do for everybody else but Black people. And South Carolina, born and bred, I think that South Carolina say that. You said I'm gonna have my blood pressure high. You know what? If I'm gonna raise my blood pressure, yeah, it's gonna be because of that. Because I hate that story. I hate that story of George Stinney. That what was going through his mind. And like CJ, I think you said he couldn't even call his parents. That little boy went to die, and they tortured him before he died for something he didn't do. And Obama stood his wannabe Black ass up there and exonerated him for what? For what? That was over 100 years ago. And what do? Oh, look at Obama. Ooh, But you got all Obama knew Assad Shakur is still hiding in Cuba. But he wouldn't use his full throat to say, hey, leave her alone. He wouldn't do that. But yet, we're supposed to be happy with this. And again, this is no disrespect to the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. None at all. It's a disrespect to us. Because as I said, when they screwed him over, they screwed the rest of us. Because what could have happened? And I want you guys to know this too. And I'm busting a sweat because it's hot and I'm mad. Every organization that y'all talk about, whether it's the Nation of Islam, whether it's the Black Panthers and any and everything else in between that, they got the blueprint for Marcus Garvey. I'm going to just put it like that. Most of it, partial of it. He is responsible for that. And I'm going to get to you guys' comments.
I just want to add just real quick. I mean, anybody could have learned from Marcus Garvey and what he was trying to say. He was basically trying to wake up a sleeping giant, and we stayed asleep. So, I have family members that are of Jamaican descent and different descents and all that other stuff. We're not sitting here trying to crucify any other group. Okay, that isn't what we're trying to do. But what we are saying is that we are delineating, because again, even though some of my family members are this and that, like I can't go to their homeland and be disrespectful and talk about, America and raise a flag and do all this other stuff. But so what we're saying is, Demetra is basically a Pan-Africanist. So she's into the whole diaspora, like we're all in this together, whatever the deal is. But unfortunately, that is not the case when it comes down to it. And so I don't want anybody to sit here and think that, oh, we're just trying to, dog the Jamaicans and the Africans and all this other stuff. No, what we're saying is, here in America, my homeland, my ancestral homeland, these people are using diversionary tactics from what the majority of my people need. Because at the end of the day, if everybody had to go back to their homeland, if they had to be deported by Trump, Black people are the only group, FBAs are the only group that cannot leave based on a homeland. You got Nigerians that are in America. Oh, I could go back to Nigeria. Oh, I could go back to the Congo. Oh, I could go back to South Africa. Everybody could name, where they can go. FBAs, we are the lost tribe and we're the only ones. That's why it is so important that if you're not with us, then you're just against us. And it's just that simple. It's just that simple. If you're not with us, you're against us.
Yes, indeed. Hello, everybody. And Mr. South Carolina says Trump won South Carolina by 454,000 votes. Blacks made up 26% of the population. Queen Adai says it's too late for that baby. Shakur should not have to be hiding in Cuba. This is the perfect example of how the non-melanated people don't forgive. Yep. Gerald says, speak the truth no matter who touches it. Absolutely. More threads. Thank you. Love and appreciate you and welcome. You say, so glad that you addressed this. CBC is a waste. From the lady they chose to lead this foolishness 100 years later to the symbolism, never anything tangible that will produce or move us upwards. Never. It's just here. Here's this dry, sucked on bone with no meat on it. Right here. Here you go. To take that. And unfortunately, we have been taking that bone and saying, well, if it's all we could get, then that's when no. In fact, we're going to get you up out of there. We're going to get you up out of there because you don't speak for us. You've been speaking for everybody else but Black people. And what? Another thing too is y'all at the CBC, y'all ain't reading the tea leaves. Y'all not seeing that Black Americans ain't with the stuff no more. Y'all saw what we did to your homegirl Kamala, who is a part of the CBC, well, she will be until January 20th. Y'all saw what we did to her. And California had already rung the bell on her when those other Congressional Legislative Black Caucus in California did what they did in sabotaging reparations. They said, oh, this spells trouble for your homegirl. And they told nothing but the truth. So if they think we playing, just wait until 2026. See, that's the energy we need to be on. You should have been talking about Marcus Garvey back then. You don't think the CBC knows that COINTELPRO and they say it don't exist no more? I'm saying bullcocker. Y'all don't think they don't know nothing about COINTELPRO and what they did to our people? You don't think the CBC knows that if they help keep Black people down, then that's more meat on their table? You don't think they know that? They know all that, but they play games because they are a puppet of white supremacy. And that's the job that they do. Well, we'll go out there and pretend that we for them. We'll call ourselves a Congressional Black Caucus and don't do nothing for them. And then every once in a while, we're going to throw them out some symbolism. And I heard that Harriet Tubman was supposed to be on some sort of currency. We ain't seen her on there yet. You know what I mean? Not that that matters, but I'm just saying the stuff they talk about. And yes, somebody brought up Juneteenth. What the hell? They was already celebrating that. Hell, I'm from California, and my mama took me along with her every Juneteenth because she did a writer's symposium because my mom was a writer, and we did Juneteenth things years and years ago. In Texas, they did it. But then when Biden and Kamala get in office in the CBC with their Kente clause, they going to give us Juneteenth like he didn't give us nothing. We already had it. And in our mind, Marcus Garvey was already exonerated because we know he didn't do it. So you ain't telling us nothing we don't know. But what you need to tell us is why you keep trying to play in our faces when you see we serious now. That's what we on.
But something's got to stick. I mean, come on. We gave you guys the Crown Act. We what other things did we give you guys? We gave you guys an apology here in California for the complicit that we were in slavery and stuff like that. I mean, golly, what do you Negroes want?
We want you to take that apology and stick it as far up as you could possibly go before you choke on it. That's what we want you to do with it. Okay. Let's see here. Ernest, you say they keep putting cream in my coffee when I like mine's black. You know what I'm saying? And Cooking with Miss D, how you doing? Says that's the one of the reasons we should get reparations. Yep, Praz, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. IBO says America pays immigrants to say anyone but us. And D. Ernest, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Says the CBC will unabashedly fight for rights of other groups of people. They will say that they fight for the rights of women, homeless, housing, etc. The problem with that is Black people are disproportionately at the bottom of all segments of society. Obama said a rising tide lifts all boats. That's a fake narrative. If a person owns a yacht and another owns a canoe with patch holes, sure, the tide might lift both, but doesn't bring equality. And he says, yes, Demetra, Black politicians bring simply symbolism. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like what they said there. The rising tide does all boats. Okay. I want you guys to look at this. Here are two boats, right? One's up, one's down. There's a rising tide, right? One's, stronger than the other. Look. Well, watch this. The tide is rising. Look. Is the lower boat catching up to the higher boat?
You ain't supposed to know all that.
Right. So it's a magic trick. It's a magic trick. It doesn't lift all boats because the boats, they're unequal to begin with. So yeah, it's going to lift both boats, but you're not going to catch up. It's just the crazy thing. But yeah.
Yeah. And Sanchez, yes, Asada, she has family she misses. She'd love to come back here, but she knows she can't. She's always expressed, missing her family and all that and wanting to come back, but she's in danger here. They're after her into her 70s. They are after Asada. But those, I'm be nice. The CBC talking about Marcus Garvey, he's been dead a long time now. I think he died in the 40s or something like that. The late 30s, 40s,
like 1943 or something like that, like 43 or something like that. But see, here's the thing, Demetra. When they cape for other groups, the CBC, they deliver. That's the difference. They deliver for those other groups. It gets passed. Oh, the illegal immigration is a Black issue. Don't you ever antiquate the LGBTQ movement and the illegal immigration with civil rights movement of Black people in the 1960s. I hate when they do that. It's just, God, I get so mad thinking about it. But my point is, they deliver for these other groups. When the illegals are coming here. Oh my God, we need $70 billion. Vote, go through. Well, gosh, it's only going to cost $2 billion to give Black people reparations in California. Nope, can't do it. Where are we going to find the money? Come on now.
Yeah. And Ernest, you say, not concerned with any other groups, politics, just Black people, not people of color. Yeah, people of color, minorities, and everybody else, Let's see who else is on here. I don't try to get mad often, but this really pisses me off. Sheree, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Queen Adaya says they gave a fake hair act. Right. The hair act and separated that melanated student from others. Yeah, hearing it was Houston that happened to him. Yeah. The Crown Act. But yet, it's stupid. Let's see. CJ says, and the messed up part is that they don't realize how they're leaving their beloved land vulnerable. Yep. Okay. So Jerry said 1940. Yep. So 1940. That Marcus Garvey's been gone almost 100 years, And Valerie, how you doing? Says FBA supports deportation. The Ernest says, yep, it's a magic trick. The CBC treat Black people as though we are stupid. They play us because they've been able to do that, right? Tony Barnes, how you doing? Says, oh, well, I think Trump will change the 13th and 14th Amendment. He will win. Says, when that happens, there should be a line of lawyers suing the federal government on behalf of Black peoples. Yeah, I mean, well, how will he change it? Because it already harms Black people. You know what I mean? 13th, abolishes slavery except for imprisonment. Black people are disproportionately more in prison than anybody else. So it's already harming us. In the 14th Amendment, what says we're citizens? Have we been treated like a citizen? No. So what is he going to change it to that is not already harming Black people from the day the forefathers or whoever amended it took that pencil to the paper and said, here, we're going to do that.
Yeah. And the funny thing about the 14th Amendment, the birthright citizenship, that was specific to Black people. Do you guys see how something that's always specific to us, other groups benefit off of it and they corrupt it, just like, what's the 1960s act that white women benefit from?
1960s act that white women benefit
Yeah.
from?
It's for Black folks.
I think it's
Affirmative
64.
action. Yeah,
64.
affirmative action. Yeah, the affirmative action thing. There's white women, that's specific to Black people, but the white women benefited more than anybody else. The 14th Amendment and the birthright citizenship act, whatever the deal is, that was specific to Black people so that we do not go back into servitude, if we have children. How it got corrupted and all these other groups use that and the government allowed them to use it is beyond me. Thank you, CJ. Affirmative action. Yep.
Yeah, Gerald, you're absolutely right. The president cannot change the Constitution, which is why
No.
when people say, "Oh, he's going to change the Constitution," it's like y'all just believe anything, y'all. And then they be the main ones talking about y'all need a civics course. It's like you need one because only Congress can do that. The Supreme Court cannot change the Constitution. The Supreme Court interprets the Constitution. Yes, the president can he can veto and he can executive order certain things, but he can't say, "Well, I don't like the Fifth Amendment. We're going to get rid of that." But he can't. He does not have
They're
those
equal
powers.
branches of government. They're equal branches of government. So unless you got the other two, you got nothing. But then again, Demetra, no, you're wrong because the 2025 plan is coming. You just wait till the inauguration. When the inauguration happens, that's when Trump is just going to be a dictator for a day, like he said, and he's going to do all these things. He's going to rip up the Constitution. He's going to do all these things. You just got to wait for the inauguration, see, because Trump is so evil that he's going to wait for the allotted day by government to take over the government and then do what he wants. How does the man that's supposed to be lawless is going to follow law? Don't get it.
Right. Current affairs with Sarah. How you doing? Since the Congressional Boule. He says should really be concerned about Black children in Baltimore City that can't even pass a standardized state test instead of helping other groups to grow. Yeah, Baltimore, and I'm actually getting into Baltimore a little bit more. They got a whole host of issues. Like it's bad there. You know what I mean? But like you said, they're concerned with everything else. And Al, you say, didn't Garvey influence Rastafari, the NOI, and Black Power? Yes, he did. And Gerald, you say we have to get better people in our communities to run for office that's going to do what they say. I'm tired of all these false promises. Yep. Did Christ really come already? And he says, truth is there's ways around all this. Even Trump say this, and we know this. Nubian King says 80% of pale females prospered for affirmative action, 7% of Black women, 10% of pale males, only 3% of Black men prosper from affirmative action. Do the math. In case Son, hope I said the right, it says our construction is our Constitution endowed.
Yeah. Let me just say this. The only thing that is endowed in our Constitution that gives rise to dictatorship is the war powers. And again, Congress gives the president the War Powers Act and they take it away. Lately, in the last 40 years, the Congress has not been doing their job in basically letting the president, holding him in check. So only during the situation of a war situation does a president even come close to a dictatorship in the United States. That's the only way you could do it.
And I don't know if y'all been following Twitter. I don't go on there much, but when I do, it's always a good time. So apparently, MAGA, mostly white people, they are mad with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk because Elon Musk and Vivek have been saying that they need to bring over foreigners to work in, tech and engineering and stuff, because basically Americans are lazy. That's basically the narrative. And so now MAGA and basically white people are going at it with the Indian community. I mean, it's nasty. And most Black people are on there like, isn't this interesting? Y'all thought that DEI affected us, Elon and Vivek. They talked down on, DEI, and here they are wanting foreigners, Indians and everybody else, Asians, I think it is, to come over here and get these high-tech jobs. That's DEI, isn't it? So now MAGA is pissed off because they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so I tweeted, I said, so Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are the I think I call them the I forget what it is, immigration immigration Trojan horse. So it's really interesting to see people mad. And so Elon is trying to backtrack a little bit, and I guess maybe Vivek is trying to backtrack too. But the MAGA is up in arms. They are pissed. They're like, you will not be bringing these people over here. And I'm seeing some Black conservatives say, wait a minute, you want to bring Sandeep and Deepak and all these other people over here, and you got Jerome and Tyrone in the hood that can learn to do these jobs and stuff, but you want to bring people over? Interesting. Let me get this comment real quick. And more threads. Thank you once again. You say Donovan is not lying. They always use things designated for us, for everyone else. Kamala was trying to bring back Freeman's, but but for all the 60,000 depositors who lost wealth then were Freeman. Yeah, she said it was brown community, which, she's talking about Hispanics. It's like, heifer, how in the hell you gonna give away something that didn't belong to you? It's crazy.
Yeah, and I want you guys to think about this too. See, this is why I'm a firm believer that 80% of Americans do not travel outside of the United States. How many of you guys know that? 80% of Americans are ignorant of what is really going outside the United States, other than what they see on YouTube, and maybe they're getting a little education, but they don't actually travel outside the United States. One of the greatest commodities that we have in our system is our healthcare system. And healthcare system is something that is needed around the world because, everybody gets old, everybody gets sick, everybody gets hurt, right? You've got countries out there that some of their greatest exports is a certain trade or tech. In the Philippines, there are more nurses that are exported to other countries to work as nurses than, they have them in the Philippines, but they export a lot of that stuff out to these other countries, because then they go to these other countries. Compared to the Philippines, you don't make as much money as if you come to the United States, where you can make a lot of money, or you go to Britain or someplace like that. And that's what they do. And what do these Filipinos do? And a lot of these people, Mexicans, whatever they do, they take the money that they make, they live off of that, and they send a lot of it back home to their homeland. One of the things Donald Trump wants to do is put a stop to that. If you make money here in the United States, you're going to spend it here in the United States.
Absolutely. Easy. He says this country is so close to civil war, bringing all these foreign groups who separate from everyone and set up shop to soak wealth out of the communities. Absolutely. Like I said, it's super interesting. I was laughing because of that. Boy, they really going in. Mrs. South Carolina says Baltimore is in the top 5 in highest homicide rate. Yeah, but nobody wants to talk about that. And guess what? They just reelected a Black man, Brandon Scott. They reelected him for the second time. And in Baltimore is, whew. Mr. Vision, how you doing? And CJ says Duke has a program that has relocated Filipino nurses to work, give them housing, a driver's license, and benefits. Yeah, but you got Black people who could do those things or whatever the case is, and you're giving it to everybody else. And the CBC, they don't speak loudly against that. So just kind of watching all the stuff unfold is really more justification as to why Black people, we need to separate, get amongst ourselves, and busy ourselves with, doing what we got to do for self, right? Because all this other stuff, now the Indians and white people fighting, and the Asians, they fighting with each other. And, but as somebody else said too, they have made Black people the face of DEI, which if you go and look at any Google, any, data, Black people didn't benefit predominantly from that. It's always been white people, specifically a white woman, right? It's never been Black people. Black people have just been used to try to justify that, but they've done it, given it to everybody else, and they've hated us for it. And now they see Vivek and Elon, they're not talking about black people benefiting or nothing like that. They're talking about they people. You know what I mean? And so now they're mad. But my thing is, if we know Trump like we think we know Trump, Trump is a megalomaniac, which he needs to be in control. And the one thing he ain't going to want is for his base, MAGA, to think that he has lost control by letting Elon, who is the richest man in the world, and Vivek Ramaswamy, who is wealthy, he's a billionaire. He doesn't want his base to think that they are running the show. But apparently that's the way it is, because they're just rattling off these tweets and, going on these shows talking crap about American people, basically saying, y'all lazy, we need to bring in everybody else. But the real question, and we've asked this on this show, and it's been asked everywhere else, if the Indian community, if anybody else's community outside of America is so goddamn good, why is their country in shambles? If they got to come over here and get America off the ground, why they ain't getting it off the ground where they at? Elon Musk is a smart man. He's the wealthiest man. Vivek is smart, but they can't solve that problem.
Elon is the richest man, but how many of you guys know that billions of your tax dollars subsidize SpaceX and Tesla? So he couldn't be rich without being subsidized by the taxpayer. Vivek, whatever, ran some kind of what was it? It was like not a Ponzi scheme, but it had to do with stocks and stuff. So he kind of finagled something in the worst way and became like a billionaire and stuff like that. So he didn't make his money honestly, but most of them don't, right? And we know that. But my question is this: if they're playing the game like that with all the hustlers we have in our community, where are our billionaires? Where are even some of the billionaires that we do know that we have? What are they doing with their money to better the community?
Right. Common, man. How you doing? Says schools in the inner city. Says don't even have a shop class anymore. These kids are growing up not even knowing how to use a screwdriver and a hammer. So how are they going to do tech? Well, they can learn to do tech.
Man, you got to worry about that, because these young girls, they go straight to the strip club. So they learn how to use that.
Nah. Because when those things aren't available anymore. Those things are available. My nieces and nephews, my younger nieces and nephews, they learned how to code when they were like second and third grade. So that stuff was available to them, and they learned how to do those things. So when those things aren't available, they don't learn those things. Like when I was coming up, which was like 5 years ago, when I was in, junior high and high school, we had home ec, wood shop, auto mechanic. We had hospitality. We had a lot of these things where we could learn a skill if we did not go to college. So if you make the tech industry, hell, everybody got a cell phone, computer, or something at their fingertips. So if you make tech available in, hell, I would say even elementary school, right? Since that's the information age we're in, you make that available, then yes, Tyrone and them are going to learn that. Just like my father learned how to be a mechanic and wanted to be a mechanic from high school, and then he's been that his whole life. So if you make it available, they will come. It's that simple.
Right. But here's the truth of the matter, you guys. You guys want to know why they took vocational and stuff out of schools? The baby boomer generation basically did that. You guys want to know why they did that? Like you said, it ties in with what Demetra just said. If you could teach me to work with my hands and I could go make money fixing a car, women could go and do the beautician thing and do all these other skills, right? That means we can do for ourselves and we can set up our own businesses. White supremacy would rather take all of that stuff out and let you look at our children now. Most of them can't do anything with their hands, especially our young boys, because there's no vocational thing being taught, whatever. And as the generations go by, now these young men have to pull out of their pocket. This is how white supremacy goes along with it. Because again, the Democrats are supposed to be the party of black people. They didn't fight to stop it. Show me where they fought to stop what they were doing in the schools. Everybody knew up until our generation that having those programs would help people make money and fend for themselves and not be dependent on the government. again, it goes back to healthcare. White supremacy would rather not have universal healthcare because that would benefit Black people to live longer and be stronger and all this other stuff. This is the foundation of it. So, like I said, whose ever great idea was to take all this vocation out of the schools, look at our neighborhoods since they've done that. They're run down. We can't fix anything. We have to call on the government to do it. This is all by design.
Hold on a second. Alonzo, how you doing? Long time no see, says Vivek and Elon's plan to get the Indians over. Remember, there were thousands of Indians crossing the northern border. Yep, they sure were coming from Canada through New York. Right before, around the election, we start to hear a lot about it. So it's like, what's really going on, right? But thank you so much for the donation. Love and appreciate you for that. But yeah, I do remember that. But I want to say this too, Donovan. I'm gonna push back on that a little bit. And I do think that because the resources aren't available, yes, that is largely a problem, but those resources weren't available to our ancestors. When they got off those plantations, they didn't have no wood shop, auto mechanic, homemaker stuff. That's something they already knew how to do, and they passed that down. They taught their children how to do that. As I always say, my father's a mechanic, and my brother's not a mechanic, but I guess in a way he is because my father taught him how to fix cars. So although my brother's not a mechanic by trade, he knows about cars. So I feel like that kind of goes in the same line with, oh, well, they took the books out of school, so now I can't teach my kids about who they are. It's like, well, you should be teaching them about who they are yourself. So if you like, I didn't need to go to home ec to learn how to cook because I saw my grandmamas and my mamas, and like I said, with my brothers and stuff like that. So if we want our children to do something, we have to put them in position. And I think about Venus and Serena's father, who did not know a goddamn thing about playing tennis. And he taught them to be the world champions, the both of them, from a book. So if we really want our children to do something, we got to put them in position to do those things. Damn, if the white man want to teach them that or not. If they never teach them, that don't excuse us not to teach them.
Right. And I just want to add on, I totally agree with you. But what I'm saying is, whenever we think of government entities, we always think of the federal government. Oh, the federal government's got to come in. BS. School districts are controlled by the local community. So all of those people that in your neighborhood and whatever, if you're in a Black neighborhood, it's usually controlled by a whole bunch of board members that are Black. Why did they vote to get that stuff out of there? That's what I'm saying. It's unfortunate that a lot of us think, oh, the federal government. No, we're talking about local municipalities. None of that stuff should have been brought out of the schools, regardless of what it is, because local governments control the education. Just like everybody says, oh, Trump is going to give all the police a qualified immunity. How the hell he's going to do that when you have over 35,000 different police departments in the United States that Trump has no jurisdiction over? Most Black encounters with policemen are not with federal officers. Come on now.
Yes, indeed. Glad to see you back, Alonzo. Let's see here. And Roz, how you doing? It says, love and blessings to Demetra and Donovan and the family between legal immigrants and is it AI? Is that what it is? What jobs are going to be left for us? The ones that we create, the ones that we make ourselves. Those are the jobs that's going to be left for us. Comment says they're not doing it. You says they're not doing it on purpose, Demetra. And I'm sorry, I don't know quite what that is, so forgive me. Let's see who else is on here so I can skip down a little bit. Thunder, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Current Affairs with Sarah says, can I explain why? I don't know what that means, but sure. And Easy says they take away Voltech and Prison Tech. Okay, let's see here. Nubian King says the system only wants our young men to bounce and dunk a ball and run and catch a football. They don't want them to use their minds, only their bodies for these pale coaches and owners. But see, that's on us, right? If that's all you train your son to do, then that's what he's going to do. Let's see here. Cart Gamer, how you doing? Says it's not white supremacy, it's our own leadership. They're the ones allowing it. And yeah, and in your own house, if you're not teaching your children any of that stuff, why are you mad at everybody else? You know what I mean?
I'm getting ready to go to Metro. I ain't got time to teach these kids. I've been working all day. I need a break. I can't be doing with these kids. You can't tell me how to deal with my kids. I'm gonna send them to my mama. My mama ain't gonna do that. I don't hear what you gotta say. You can't tell me nothing. You ain't my mama.
Well, then shut your ass up. You know what I mean? Uh, let's see here. Raven says took the vocational trades out of high school and replaced trades with the prison pipeline. Yes, well, you know what? Believe it or not, the prison pipeline has always been there. Now we've seen it ramp up, in recent years. I'd say 20, maybe 30, last 30 years or so. We've seen it ramp up, but it's always been there. But I say too, especially if you have black sons and a black girl, daughters, you need to teach them about the prison, school to prison pipeline. That's for them. That's what that's for. My sister's a school teacher. And my sister-in-law, I call her my sister, but sister-in-law for my reference, she was doing a report on, the school to prison pipeline, and she cried. And she would call me, for references and stuff like that to help her figure out stuff. And she cried because she has a black son, and she says, I just didn't know all of this. And now my sister's a school teacher, and she says she doesn't have her students do traditional things like line up in a straight line, walk all together, and do certain things, because she says, as I looked at that, I realized they are training these children to be prisoners, riding on the bus in silence. Not that they should be making a noise and stuff, but just pay attention to how they have these children in these schools operate, and then look at how they have prisoners operate, and they are the identical same, right? Oxymoron, but they're not oxymoron, but same thing. The identical same. I said it again. All right, so let's see here. Who else is on here? Daryl, you says, now I see why Walter's always speaking about buying certain cars and making profit. Your father trained him at a young age. Yeah, so he didn't learn that stuff from school. He learned it from home. My brother was going to the shop with my dad when he was 5, learning how to fix cars. So, I'm one of those people, I don't expect anybody else to teach my child about the things she should know, especially when it comes to knowledge of self, because you expecting them to teach your baby about who she is makes you a fool. And it makes you a fool when you get on this internet, that makes you stupid. And, I hate to be so brash, but it just is what it is. Queen Adaya says that was at the local level. Vocational ed is not federal. Yes. Let's see. Ernest says I had woodshop, auto mechanics, and mechanic cooking class when I was coming up. Yeah, I same here. Not the auto mechanics. Common Man says a lot of us learned nothing when all the Democrats gave for this election was collard greens in the bathtub and black women twerking, nothing else. Yeah, well, thank God we rejected that. Alonzo, thank you once again. Love and appreciate you. Says Donovan, all politics are supposed to be local. However, the candidates are party affiliated. Yeah, even the ones that say, oh, we're not. Oh, yes, they are. Just look how they rule.
Yeah, the money comes down from the federal, then it gets to the state, and it trickles down to local politicians. That's why if you try to, you've been a lifelong Democrat, and I ran for office, and I never understood why I should have to go to a selection board and fill out a form so they can see where my thoughts are and stuff. And because my thoughts were so far anti-white, this is how they weed out the people that ain't going to do the work, the Democratic work. So if you're out there talking that pro-black stuff, you will never be backed by the Democratic Party, ever.
Yeah. Nubian King, it says Demetri K, how many black men are in the home to teach our young men other skills? This is why the government took the black man out of the home so black women could not train them like a man. I want to say this to you, that I don't want to call it a notion, but I guess maybe it could be, that the black man is not involved in his children is a flat out lie. The black man is the most involved parent, father in the lives of his children than any other race. Now, yes, he may be out of the home more so than any other man, when I say other white man or whatever the case is, but he is still involved. And yes, it would be better if the father was in the home, but that's not always the case. But that don't mean that the father is not teaching their children something or cannot teach their children something. So when we move that out of the way, it's like, what else you got? Now, I know a lot of times when fathers visit the children, they kind of in a way become that Disneyland father. Well, I don't see the kids much, so I'm going to be nice and teach them or treat them, take them places to do stuff. But no, when you spend time with your children, sit down with them, even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes, and teach them something that they can use later on in life. But we got to stop spreading that too. And again, yes, I do concede the man is not there as much in the home, like living there. but he is still there nevertheless.
And let me add on to that, because I agree with what you said. However, whenever I hear these women or anybody say the father is not there, okay, so what? He's not there. So this girl doesn't have a father herself? This girl doesn't have brothers? This girl doesn't have cousins? Did you
Well,
see what I'm
that was
saying?
a man that said that. I just want to point that
Right,
out.
right. No. And that's what I'm saying. We can't keep using that excuse, fellas. Oh, we're not there, whatever. You mean to tell me these women, regardless of what kind of man they pick, the man's in jail or whatever, that you have so much disdain for your children, your young boys, that you won't let your father instill into them positive things. You won't let your brother instill in positive things if your brother's doing positive things, your cousins or somebody. There's always going to be, and that's why when I talk to young women and they kind of keep their children to themselves and their children just running just crazy in the neighborhood, to me there's no excuse for that, because and the reason I say that is because I use myself as an example. My mother was a widowed mother. How do you explain my brother and myself? We had positive men around us. Again, back in those days, we had the boys club we can go to, all kinds of stuff like that. But I'm heavily influenced by my uncle. I'm heavily influenced by my uncle. I had a lot of uncles, but the ones that were here in California, heavily influenced. And one uncle I have, we aren't uncle. He isn't my uncle by blood, but you can't tell me that. Heavily influenced by this man. So, we that excuse, to me, it just doesn't fly, because there's too many men in the world in our community, and you can't say all of us are bad.
Well, again, you know, we're not gonna keep, and I'm not saying this is you, Donovan, necessarily, but we're not gonna keep putting this on the black woman. Okay. Common Man says the black woman sold her children up the river for government benefits like Section 8 and social services. She may or may not have done that. I think there's y'all, you see, and I not just to you, Common Man, but y'all say that and y'all leave off everything else. Like she just said, oh, black man of mine, you're making so much money. I'm going to make so much money. I don't know what to do with it. But the government is offering me a funky little whatever it was back then, not nearly enough to take care of everything. And anybody living in these Section 8 places, most of them are horrible. So what woman that had a man in her home that was conducive and had a good job and taking care of her and the kids, gave that up to live in a rat roach infested house and barely enough to get by on? So come on, let's give it some context. And let's stop blaming the black woman. I'm not saying the black woman don't have a lot to do with it, but what we're not going to do is just hang this specifically on the black woman, because a nation is comprised of black men and black women. And the sooner black men and black women stop pointing the finger and say, we are all we got, we need to raise these children, then we're going to be better off. But stop trying to blame listen, as I say to y'all, I'm 53 years old, been a black woman my whole life, and not nan Negro on here, there, anywhere, going to tell me about the black woman. Because I am one. I know she a hard-headed heifer sometimes. I know she got issues, but she didn't create this issue in our race by herself. So let's stop having that conversation as if she did. Because listen, I know to some it makes you feel good to blame. It ain't the man, or whatever the case is. Because as I said, with a single mama, there's an absentee father. So they both got some explaining to do. Let's see here, and I want to get to this.
Wholeheartedly agree. But again, all I'm saying is, men, you got uncles out there, you got fathers out there. If the father of the child is not there, that's no excuse for these kids not to have an influence of a positive man. Not blaming the woman. What I'm saying is, the woman, regardless of who she picks or whatever, you can't tell me as a woman you don't have a positive father, you don't have a positive uncle, whatever the deal is. Have your kids around those those men, and those men should. I'll be damned. I'm an uncle myself, and Demetra will tell you I'm very active in my nieces and nephews' lives. I'm very active, and their parents didn't have to tell me nothing. I went and did it on my own, and I have my own children. So why is it that these men in the community, uncles and fathers and grandfathers, they're not being more active in the community to make sure that these kids are doing right? I just don't understand that.
Common Man, if that black woman had 100 children, where did she get it from? Unless her name is Mary. And if she's of divinity, where she get those children from? She had 100 children. Those 100 children came from a man. It took a man to help her get those children. So yes, I'm not saying it's optimal that a woman does that or whatever, but Where is the man that is attached, that laid down with that woman, even if it was for 2 minutes? Where is he at? See, common man, as I said, yes, black women, we need to start kicking black women in the tailbone more and say, hey, sister, hey, queen. Because as I said, that don't always mean that's what she is, but it's a reminder that's who you're supposed to be. Just like we're supposed to do that with the women, y'all supposed to do that with the men. And not saying this to you, common man, but the unfortunate part is, and this is why I hate the internet too, and I'm glad I'm not in that manosphere, in woman sphere, whatever space, is because the opposite sex always spends more time admonishing. So if I'm a man, I will spend more time admonishing the woman. When you got more in common with the man, you could tell the man, hey, partner, you know goddamn well you left that woman with all them kids. Get yourself out the club and straighten up, fly right, and go take care of your children. Y'all could do that, but y'all rather be on the internet. The black woman is, the black woman, and again, I'm not saying she perfect, because she not. Hell, a black woman got on my nerves today, you know? But I'm not saying she perfect, but speak to the black men, and we gonna speak to the black women. But as long as y'all trying to get this, that's y'all trying to get in our business. Not saying the black woman ain't your business, but y'all ain't got the rapport to be trying to be on the internet admonishing all black women when you ain't talked to your nephew, not you, common man, but your nephew who knocking up all the women in the neighborhood. That's all I'm saying. So let me see.
We have to get back to community. We really do. Like I said, I look at these men, and and Dimitri, and I'm involved in my nieces and nephews' lives, and they don't listen to everything that I have to say, but I say what I need to say so that they know, and it's on record. Ain't no way, they've got moms that don't agree with my opinion, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to let my nephew run around here screwing up when I know better, and I'm trying to get him to not make the same mistakes that I made. It's crazy to me how I see people that have siblings, and the siblings just don't give a damn about their nephews and nieces, and they're in the hood and all this excuse that they do. It's just sad. We got to get back to community.
Yes, thank you, Brother Reggie. If y'all could please subscribe to Brother Reggie. We're trying to get the brother to 100 subscribers. We could do it. We could do it. I know we can. So please go visit his page. And thank you so much. And thank you to all the moderators. You guys are the bomb. You guys do a great job. Thank you. Did Christ really come already? Says, I ain't the pappy. You crazy. Let's see. Yes, Queen of Di, it takes 2 to reproduce. Easy, you say facts. CJ says, laugh out loud. I got my, yes, she did. Got on my last nerve, but I kept it pushing. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not saying the black woman is perfect. She run around with a halo and wings. I know she got issues, but it's going to take both of us. King Shaw says, look at the trailer park women from West Virginia. Yeah, no, exactly. More threads. Thank you once again. You say, thank you, D. It's always something that a black man or woman won't do. I said, don't do or doing now. That's wrong. Tired of finger pointing and noting everything wrong. Yeah, it's like, how do we fix this? That black woman didn't lay on her back and get pregnant by herself. I'm not saying, and like Valerie said, stop making children out of wedlock. And listen, I had my daughter out of wedlock. I'm not up here saying I did everything right. I didn't. I had my daughter where I was not married to her father. You know what I mean? We had some bumps and bruises, but her father was there. He got on my nerves. I'm sure I got on his.
And put her on child support.
Yeah, he tried to put me on child support, and I didn't pay him 1 red cent. But that's a whole, I already told that story 400 times. But, at the end of the day, we had a child to raise. And my mom, she's the one that said that. And see, I didn't have one of those mamas, girl, you need to do all this and take him and, don't let him. My mom says, she's your child and she's his child. And no matter how much time she spends with him, she's always going to be 100% your child and vice versa. Y'all ought to stop all this back and forth. Now, mind you, we're young 20s, right? Stop all this back and forth and raise your daughter. And I listened. It took him a little longer, but I heard what she was saying. Because we're fighting, oh, she's my daughter. But she was right. No matter if you have her 363 days a week or a year, she's still going to be 100% my daughter too. And when she said that, see, I had a mom that has sense. I have none of these silly mamas that a lot of these women out here got to see their daughter off the damn chain and won't yank it and say, sit your black ass down somewhere and stop taking this man through all this unnecessary nonsense. See, I didn't have that kind of mama. My mama was like, nah, She was able to say he was when I was wrong, and that's why I only got one child, because my mama didn't raise my child. My mom said, you had her, you and her daddy gonna raise her. Now I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna help you as much as I can, but I'm not gonna raise that's your responsibility. And that's why I don't have a bunch of children. I'm not shaming nobody who does. I just learned my lesson the first time because my mama didn't play. And I'm glad she didn't. RIP to her. Star Child says, I'm a single mom. I have 2 sons that are college graduates. There you go. So you was able to do something, right? Arneva, how you doing? Says the root cause of our problems, we rejected the way of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad versus the way of MLK. Can you imagine where we would be if NOI Mosque was on every corner versus the church? Come on now. Come on. And even somebody would probably disagree with that, but the nation got their stuff together. You could believe that. Easy says all the social media, black on black, has to stop. It does, because that's where it's on social media, you know? And a lot of people don't realize all this mess is for clicks and likes. They doing this so they can get a check, dividing the community for a check. And King Shar says, right, Donovan in comment says, black men can't control black women. These black women have 6 kids with 6 different fathers. Whose fault is that? That was no mistake. Common man. That black lady got on my nerves, and you about to be the first black man. I'm just playing. I love you though. Yes, CJ says text a village. And Alonzo says, stop letting the computer and television. Come on now, raise our children. And hell, the social media and the television is raising the parents too. They silly as hell. And
Real Housewives, that's real, girl. I need an expense account. You know, even though you only work minimum wage, nigga, you gonna be with me. I want an expense account. It's happening to the adults too. I mean, they're living a life that don't exist. It's sad. So we got to get out of watching the TV and start watching stuff of more substance. I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. We have to rebuild the community. We just have to do it.
Yes, and Queen of Gravity, Purifier, how you doing? I saw your other comment about, your children's father passed away and things like that. He says, I have closed the book on my past. My sons are the God-given gifts of he loved, not present. He says, but now 5 strong, solid black sons struggling, but still standing and waiting and watching what mama gonna do. There you go.
Well, here's the thing about that, though. Here's the thing about that. You got, she said 5 sons?
Yes.
Oh, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You ain't got a thing to worry about. You got 5 sons. You've been blessed with 5 sons. You gonna be taken care of. It's just like a father that has daughters. If he's a good father, you guys hear Demetra talk about her dad all the time. Her dad is well taken care of.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Patrice, how you doing? Says, unfortunately, the various report states that the existing problem is due to the absentee fathers, not absentee brothers, cousins, and uncles. I know men who were raised or influenced by various men, but currently have issues because they did not have their father. This is the conundrum. A father is irreplaceable. I agree with you. Fathers are irreplaceable.
Without a doubt. But we have to look at it this way, Miss Lynn. If the father's not there, a male figure is better than no male figure. It's as simple as that. If there's no positive male thing, the kid is just going to go wayward and just be out there, and it's going to be a worse situation. So yeah, we know fathers are irreplaceable, but let's face it, a lot of couples don't get along and the father doesn't want to be there, whatever the deal is. A positive role model is better than no positive role model.
Yeah, that I would agree with. But I get where she's going with that. The father is irreplaceable. But of course, how you doing this fine evening? Let's see here. Corey, did I say hello to you? If I didn't, hello. He says, I have 1 child too. CJ says the old church used to have standards as well. They need to tighten up. Yeah, now you're seeing all kind of foolishness going on at the church. It's like, I'm not going up in there.
How many of you guys seen that? What's the guy, Pastor Bryant? He has a podcast. Who the hell is going to follow this man and his advice? That's what I want to know. Here's a guy that's got kids all over the damn place. I'm just like, and his church in Atlanta. I'm looking at this like, if this is the best we have, and Kamala Harris spoke at his church or whatever the deal is, and we have some problems, y'all. We have some problems. When the devil is in the church and is preaching, we got problems.
Yeah, he took over. He's at New Birth, Eddie Long's old church. Eddie Long passed away, but he took over that. And and I will say this: I always tell you guys, one of my favorite movies is The Apostle with Robert Duvall. I think that's a must watch. I don't think you should be able to talk about the church in any way, shape, or form until you watch that movie, The Apostle, because I am able to give, I don't go to church, but I know a lot about it and the Bible and stuff. But when I hear about people like Jamal Bryant and all the other ones, I think the unfortunate part is we have been taught that the pastor is damn near Jesus, right? Oh, he's perfect. He's just that and the other. But as I said with the apostle, I won't give it away. I learned along my travels in researching the church and being in church, the pastor is a man too. Jesus, and if we're following the scripture in the Bible, says Jesus died for our sins. He didn't say, it didn't say Jesus died for everybody else's sins because of the except for the pastor because he's perfect or she's perfect. It says for our sins. So that means the world was full of sin before Jesus, came and cleansed us when he was crucified, right? That's per the Bible. So I think when we stop looking at the pastor as, oh, he's a deity, then you won't get discouraged. When you hear the pastor has outside children and he's smoking and drinking, he's a man too. Now, it does say that the Bible will be held to a higher standard, calling because he is leading the flock, and the flock more than likely is going to do what he or she does. But keeping in mind, he is a man too that is able and will sin. Just want to put that out there. Yes, Ernest says, let's keep loving one another and networking and cut out all the outside noise. I totally agree with you. So we're about to get on out of here, but I want to make sure I recognize everybody else. Nubian King, he says, what about these females? And yeah, I don't know why he spelled it like that. That don't let their, I'll put this up here. He says, what about these females that don't let their fathers interact with their sons, especially if they end up in divorce? Says, I went through that BS, my son, and to this day, he does not want to see me. Let me tell you something.
Yeah, wait, first of all, before you get on him, what generation do you come from? Yeah. Huh? What generation do you come from, Nubian King? If you come from the older generation, nowadays, there's no excuse for a man not to see his child, period.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this. And I want to start something. I don't know how to start it because I already do it like an advocacy group for men that deals with this because I'm already kind of doing it now, but I'm learning that a lot of men, fathers just don't know what they don't know. And so unfortunately, they get ran roughshod all through by the woman who in a sense is a bully, right? Because most men or fathers are good fathers. So I don't even like to say unless you got something going. Most fathers are good fathers. And unfortunately, all mothers aren't good mothers in the sense that they think it's okay to alienate the father from the child. And then with that, yes, the child grows up thinking the daddy is the problem. He's the bad guy because he didn't pay child support. He wouldn't come see me. And because those are the narratives that they got from the mom. But when the father knows that he has rights, and in a lot of cases in states, alienation of affection is against the law. She can be held accountable, especially if you have a court order. It specifically says that in the court order that neither parent should alienate the affection of the other child, meaning do not poison the child against the other parent. That is in the order, which makes it against the law if it is broken. So I say all that to say, and I'm sorry that that happened to you, King Nubian, but fathers, you have rights too. And she's really just a dog that's all bark and no bite, because you know who the bite is? It's the law. That's who the actual bite is. So stop tapping out. And I'm not saying you did it, but stop tapping out, letting her win because she's the loudest heifer in the room. Take that heifer to court and pistol whip her ass. That's how you do it. As my daddy say, put the white man on her ass like she did to you. Plain and simple. All right, so let's see here. Star Child says, did you guys see Detroit shut that gas station down? Yes, I did. I actually reported on it. I think it'll be out tomorrow or today. I don't even remember if it came out yet or not. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it came out Friday.
Did it
Or
come
no,
out
not
already?
Friday.
Okay.
No, yeah, it came out like I think
One of
Christmas
these
Day or something.
days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christmas Day.
JJ, he says Gino Mars will cuss you out. So I heard. I be seeing people post clips of him. And Emmy says, I call it rehomogenized religion. Look at who taught it. We as Black people were trained to worship white people. In a sense, we still do, but we're unlearning that, right? Rod says, honk for Jesus, man. That right there went over everybody's head. Honk for Jesus. Honk, I think it's honk if you love Jesus, is what it is. What's that? Is it Lise Neal? And I can't think of the Black actor's name. He's in everything. Name escapes me, but that is an excellent damn movie. And you say it's another good parody movie about the Black church, but that went on everybody's head. They was mad as hell. They were mad as hell about that movie. But that movie spoke the unadulterated truth. And I believe it was talking about that of Eddie Long, Bishop Eddie Long. That movie was great. But people got mad. Nubian King says, I'm 74 years old and got married at 39. My ex in her 70s is in her 70s. She ain't no young and got you. Says I had to call the police. I don't say that. Every time I have my visitation rights, I ain't always the man. That's it ain't always the man. Trust me, listen. I got a story to tell you. I ain't gonna tell it right now because it ain't my story to tell, but damn it. Everything you said is happening to somebody I know right now, and we are working through this as we speak. Everything you just so you don't have to convince me. I know there's women out there that will weaponize any and everything they can because they can't get their way. I know that, but I know that if you know the system and you use it, you will be victorious. I'm telling you, Black men, do not give up and do not give in to a woman like that. Do not fight with her. Take her ass to court and let her fight with the courts. Do that. Trust me.
And let me give you a quick little tidbit for the gentlemen that are out there, because I'm a victim of the court system too. But here's the thing. You got to remember, in court, it's just like the Donald Trump syndrome. If you've got if you make more money than her, and let's say for some reason your girl is on this system or whatever, you have the resources to outlast her in court. Unfortunately, you're going against the state. But the fact of the matter is, just use those resources to your advantage. And it does work, because if this thing doesn't get adjudicated for 2 or 3 years, how long do you think that woman's going to be waiting on a check? In 2 or 3 years. You got to use the system. If it works for them, it works for us. So,
yep. So anyway, and Buckhorse says Pastor Long, DC 9th Street. So is there that one there too? And Emmy says the truth hurts. Yep. And Alonzo says I was adamant about raising mine and it was understood. I'm happy for having the opportunity to raise the ones I did. There you go. Ernest says you got the parents competing with the child, trying to conversate for their lack of parenting skills. Absolutely. Abigail says the letter J, Jesus is 500 years old. So Yeshua is what he's typically are technically known as. Nubian, he says, Demetra, he's 36 now, so it's spilled milk on my part. It doesn't, if he doesn't want to communicate with me, then I'm done. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. He's an adult. But, I just say have a little compassion for him. I think at 36, yeah, he could say maybe, and maybe one day he will get to the point where I want to know my father. But you got to remember too, when a child is alienated, it's abuse from the other parent as well to emotionally F them up about the other parent, because they and the other parent didn't get along, couldn't get along. So they ruin the child's perception of the other parent. And just as you're hurting, your son may not know he's hurting, but he has been abused as well by the mother because she couldn't get her way with you. I'm sure that's probably had something to do with it. She couldn't get her way, whether it was money or anything else. And so she decided to weaponize your child against you, and in turn she ruined your son because he needs a father, and she didn't care. She was selfish.
And the thing is, that's something that I can identify with. My oldest son was alienated from me, being in the military, overseas, fighting wars and stuff. My son was told things horrific about me, horrific, that didn't make sense logically, because we all know you can't be in the military if you don't pay no child support. This is the kind of stuff my son was told. Then when the truth came out, oh my God, it blew his mind and stuff, and his idea. So the truth will always stand at the end of the day. So you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it'll, and I pray, for Donovan. Sterling Brown, thank you, Al. Sterling Brown is for Honk If You Love Jesus. Excellent movie. Y'all watch that if y'all get a chance. Honk If You Love Jesus and The Apostle. But Donovan knows that. I pray every day that, because I know it Donovan is deeply disturbed behind the relationship with his child that was alienated, and it wasn't fair. She was mad because Donovan and her, they, weren't ever a thing, but she could not, and along with her family, finagle him into that, And so she decided to ruin their child's perception of him. And I know Donovan needs peace. And also for his son, who was out there in the world, mad at his mom, don't really know his dad the way he properly doesn't know his father because of what his mom did. So he's probably a grown man out there struggling with identity because he doesn't really have all the pieces of who he is due to his mom not being able to get her way. She couldn't get her man, so she ruined her child. And that's the long and the short of it. So as I said, I'm not, when I tell y'all, yeah, and I'm not saying, I'm not up here telling y'all, because I know there's a lot of people that no matter what a Black woman does, she can't never do nothing wrong, or she perfect, or, hell no. As I said, I'm a Black woman, and I say it and I say it again. No one hates a Black woman more than a Black woman. I'm a Black woman, and I've been hated on by Black women more than I ever have a Black man. I don't hold it against them, but I know how devious Black women can be. I'm not crazy to that, but I'm not saying it's the Black woman's fault by herself. Because a lot of times those devious Black women have dealt with something too that has led them to be who they are. Not saying it's right, but they got some demons in their past that they won't let go of. You know what I mean? So Amy said folks need to grow up and work through the problem. Ain't nobody got money put in this legal system, work it out. You better preach. You're right. So anyway, let's see here. You see, Yaharala. I know I said that right, but how you doing? Says let my people go. Yes. You say all bad and Queen of Gravity says my first son lost his first son in 2019 when he was locked up. He gets out, has a daughter with a girl, 3 baby daddies. Now he's used to set his life up knowing his freedom is still in chains. Yeah, that's crazy. Nubian, you say, Demetri, good point. We can dialogue. Yeah, trust me. I know all about it. Yeah, Ernest, the system makes our fathers look bad. Yep, I agree. Yes, indeed. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Be back here on Sunday. Love and appreciate y'all for everything that you've done and everything that you will do for this show. I guess we'll have maybe some sort of a New Year's or end of the year show or something, since that this Sunday coming up will be our last show of the year. So
and since it's New Year's, we're gonna have Demetri stand and dance and walk around, just so we can be optimistic going into the new year, because guess what? 2025, Project 2025 is going to start. The Constitution is going to be overturned. We need to go in there optimistically. They're going to lock up Black people, and the police are going to shoot all Black people they can find. So give us something so that we can just walk into slavery, because the slave patrols are going to start too. We're just going to so as we walk into slavery, at least we can walk in there knowing we had a good run.
I hear what you're saying. You know what? You actually give me a good idea. What we're going to do Sunday is we're going to do like they do at church. We're going to have the shut in where we stay in all night and we're going to pray. Hallelujah. We're going to do it until midnight. Say, okay, so I'm going to lead off the prayer. Donovan's going to lead it, and we're going to open up the link. Everybody's going to come on here. We're going to pray into the new year. There you go. We can have the courage and the strength to fight white supremacy. How about that?
Just like CJ said, we'll be singing "We Shall Overcome" until the morning hours.
Hold on. Let's see.
You know what, though? That's a good idea, but unfortunately, as we all know, Black people love to be entertained. You ain't going to get us out the club that night. The women are already getting their dresses. They're getting their cat suits, all that other stuff. They trying to find somebody to do where grandma going to take care of the grandbabies and all that other stuff. And that's just how Black people roll. I mean, what we might have 12 people in here with us New Year's Eve.
Nah, we're going to be deep up in here. We're going to be knee deep. I'm bringing my tambourine. I'm bringing my little friend along. so we can have a little, yeah, CJ, the watch night. That's what it was at church, the watch night. Man, I never stayed longer than a couple hours at a watch night. I was in the pews. Yeah, I'm going home. I left the black eyed peas on the stove and I went to bed. It's like, he crazy. I'm not going to be up in here all night.
And I have a question. If somebody can answer this, and I'm not trying to be funny or disrespectful, why is it that the Jehovah Witnesses show up at your house the day after New Year's and talking about, good morning, have you heard or seen the Lord? And you're like, what the hell?
Do him like my boss did when I was working at Frito-Lay. He said the Jehovah Witnesses kept on bothering him, coming to the door. Here, can we give you a watchtower? Have you heard about the good news of this, that, and the other? He says, all right. I make a deal. You come on in. I'm going to listen to everything you're saying. And then when you come back for your follow-up, you got to listen to me. And they say, all right. And there was some old ladies too. So they gave him the watchtower and stuff, and they came back for their regular follow-up. And then he said he had him sit down. Before he had him sit down and ran upstairs, he turned on the VCR, and it was a porno in there. He said that when he came down, they was gone.
Lord have mercy. And I believe that. But yeah, they always come up after, you've been partying all night. They want to talk about, have you heard of the Lord? And if you haven't, you got to slam the door on them. And then this year, by the way, I want you guys, since it's New Year's coming up, I'm giving you guys a heads up. You're going to hear a lot of this. Because the Venezuelans, the Guatemalans and stuff, this is their last foray before they're yiked out of here. Okay, so, so be
but
ready.
Shut up. That's your neighborhood every night. What are you talking about?
I know, every weekend. I get that.
Mine too.
And again, we're going into the new year. I know we're getting a little silly here. ICE is hiring. They need 32,000 new hires. And if you're people that you might know, if you got a young black man that's sitting around aimlessly, can't find a job, federal benefits, fully loaded. If he can speak Spanish, that's a plus. They're serious. They need 32,000 to start, additional to start.
Ye were Gentiles, how you doing? No, not Frito up at Frito-Lay. I said to my boss from when I worked at Frito-Lay. That was a story he told. So no, not at Frito-Lay. And he lost a job anyway, but not because of that, but yeah, at his house. So anyway, Alonzo says, yeah, you tell, yeah, I know the Lord. He down the street. He crazy. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. Love and appreciate every last one of y'all. See y'all on Sunday, same time. I don't know what we'll talk about, but maybe just absolutely nothing. Just to, maybe we'll do a year in review. I don't know. Maybe we won't talk about anything. We'll just be here looking at
it. No, we need to do a year in review because Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party have not learned their lesson. They still think Kamala could be a governor. The money's unaccounted for. Let's do a year in review.
Okay, there you go. We're going to do a 2024 year in review. Common man, you're old. We're all old. Don't feel bad. And Jesse says, I worked at Frito-Lay as well, Dimitri. Yeah, so me and you probably could write a book. Oh, the stories we could tell. Yeah, CJ, it's been a year. So anyway, we love and appreciate y'all. See y'all later. Peace.